Usually when a massive public figure is put on trial in the court of public opinion, the script is just incredibly predictable. Like, the drill.
Oh, yeah, the Notes app apology.
Exactly. They get caught up in some scandal. They issue that little Notes app apology on social media. They vanish for a few months, and then they come back with this, carefully orchestrated PR redemption tour.
Right, the classic playbook.
Right. The cultural expectation is that the celebrity basically just has to submit to the public's judgment. You show contrition, and you slowly crawl your way back to being likable.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at what happened in 2017 with Taylor Swift, that entire playbook was just fed right into a shredder.
Oh, completely.
There was no apology, no plea for forgiveness. Instead, we get this highly produced, glittery, and honestly, almost terrifyingly vengeful resurrection. Welcome to a new deep dive, by the way. Today, our mission is to unpack one of the most heavily scrutinized pieces of pop culture of the 21st century.
Yes, look what you made me do.
And for our listener today, the lifelong learner who craves multiple perspectives, we have a really fascinating stack of sources. We've got a visual breakdown from The Guardian, deep dives into hidden Easter eggs from The Things, lyrical analysis from Swiftly Sung Stories, and behind-the-scenes data from The Fader, W Magazine, and The Mirror.
And we also have a really surprising academic paper from the Global Language Review.
Right, applying Jacques Derrida's deconstructive philosophy to the song. So we're looking at context, double meanings, visual meta-commentary, all of it.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And to really grasp the magnitude of this pivot she made, we have to look at the inciting incident, like the cultural landscape of 2016, specifically the controversy the internet called Snakegate.
Right.
It was this massive collision of pop culture titans.
Yeah.
You had Taylor Swift, Kanye West, and Kim Kardashian. And the dispute centered around a lyric in a Kanye West song where he claimed he made Swift famous, and basically whether or not she had consented to being referenced that way.
And the turning point there was when Kim Kardashian released that selectively edited phone call on Snapchat. I remember the internet essentially breaking that night.
Oh, it was everywhere.
Yeah. The way the footage was cut made it look unequivocally like Swift was lying about her lack of consent. And the backlash was just instantaneous and brutal.
Millions of people, quite literally overnight, decided she was this manipulative liar. Her social media was just an endless wall of snake emojis.
Right. She went from being America's sweetheart, writing this historic high of her 1989 album, to being the internet's #1 villain.
Yeah, and the psychological toll of having the entire global internet turn on you simultaneously, that's something very few human beings have ever experienced.
Oh, for sure.
And her reaction wasn't to fight back in the moment. She completely retreated from the public eye for well over a year. The sources note that this self-imposed exile was a period of intense reevaluation.
She wasn't just hiding, right?
No, exactly. She was studying the mechanics of what had just happened to her. So when she finally breaks her silence in August 2017 with "Look What You Made Me Do," it's not a standard pop single. It's a battle cry.
And you feel that the absolute second the song starts, the lyrics do not ease you in at all. The opening lines are, "I don't like your little games, don't like your tilted stage."
Mm-hmm.
And when you read the lyrical analysis from Swiftly Sung Stories, they point out this brilliant double meaning here. On a literal level, Kanye West actually used a floating, tilted stage during his St. Pablo tour.
Right, so she's planting a flag immediately about who she's talking to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than just the literal stage.
Yeah, the literal reference is sharp, but the metaphorical weight of a tilted stage is where the real storytelling begins. Think about the fundamental purpose of a stage.
Right, to be seen.
Right, it's built to elevate a performer, to hold them up safely so the world can watch them shine. So a tilted stage is a corrupted platform. It's rigged. It's entirely designed to buck the artist off and force a public fall from grace.
Hold on, I'm picturing like a classic noir film here.
Oh, okay.
You know the scene. The protagonist is knocked unconscious, and when they wake up, they're in a locked room holding a smoking gun standing over a body they didn't kill.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Like the room was rigged from the start, they never had a chance. But here's my question. By starting the song acknowledging the tilted stage, isn't she kind of admitting that she lost? Like she fell off the stage, they successfully knocked her off balance. Doesn't acknowledging the rigged game show weakness?
Well, it does admit a fall, yeah. But acknowledging the rigged mechanics of a game is really the only way to begin dismantling it.
Oh, interesting.
She's letting her opponents know that she sees the wires, she understands the machinery of her own destruction, and she follows that realization with the very next line, "The role you made me play, of the fool.
Right, and nobody wants to be the fool in the story.
Well, we tend to think of the fool as someone who is just gullible or stupid. But if we look at the literary history, particularly the Shakespearean trope of the fool, think of King Lear. The fool has a highly specific, dangerous function. The fool is the only person in the entire royal court who is permitted to speak truth to power.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they exist to provoke the king, to hold up a mirror to the absurdity and corruption of the ruling class. So Swift is signaling that she may have been cast in the role of the fool by the media and her rivals, but she's going to use that exact position to expose the entire circus.
Wow, so she's taking the smoking gun they put in her hand and pointing it right back at them.
Exactly.
And she actually uses crime scene imagery to describe this dynamic later on. She calls what they did to her the perfect crime. And a perfect crime is one where no evidence is left behind, or, in the context of the Snapchat video, where the evidence is so meticulously edited that the truth is completely erased.
And the psychological portrait she paints of her nemesis in this section is chilling. The line, "how you laugh when you lie," highlights a complete lack of empathy.
Yeah, that's dark.
It really is. She's describing someone who can casually destroy another person's life and reputation without losing a single second of sleep. It creates this stark contrast between her own emotional devastation and their sociopathic indifference.
And then she hits us with, "You said the gun was mine," which goes right back to that noir setup. It's that terrifying, isolating feeling of realizing you are going to take the punishment for a crime you didn't commit.
Right.
And the real perpetrators are just walking away free. But as we move into the second verse, the imagery shifts completely. She drops the crime scene metaphors and moves into this high fantasy, singing about her kingdom keys being stolen.
Yes, and this is a foundational metaphor in her catalog. She consistently uses the imagery of royalty, castles, and kingdoms to represent her career and her standing in the music industry.
Okay.
Her kingdom is the empire she spent a decade building from the ground up.
Which makes perfect sense. When she sings, "You asked me for a place to sleep, locked me out and threw a feast," it actually reminds me of the ancient laws of hospitality you see in Greek mythology.
Oh, how so?
Well, when a guest is invited into a home, there is a sacred trust. If the guest violates that trust, like stealing from the host, locking them out of their own home, and then throwing a party with the stolen goods, it's considered the ultimate betrayal.
Right.
It's not just a crime, it's like an offense to the gods.
That's a great connection, because the betrayal here is incredibly intimate. She invited someone into her space, likely referencing past friendly interactions or collaborations, and they used that proximity to usurp her.
Wow.
And throwing a feast in her stolen kingdom is a grotesque celebration. Her rivals are actively dancing on her metaphorical grave. By elevating a celebrity dispute to the level of mythic royal betrayal, she justifies a mythic sweeping response.
Which introduces the theme of karma. Like, the rest of the world might move on to the next trending topic, but she says, all I think about is karma.
Exactly.
If the betrayal was mythic, the retribution has to be cosmic. She's promising that the universe will eventually balance the scales, even if she has to wait for it.
And the rhetoric is incredibly grand. I mean, we're dealing with fallen monarchs, rigged stages, sociopathic betrayals, and karmic justice.
Yeah.
But this isn't just a pop star venting her frustration. The language she uses here is so layered that it has actually become a subject of academic study.
Right. This is where we get into that paper.
Yes. There's a fascinating peer-reviewed paper in the Global Language Review that analyzes this specific song through the lens of Jacques Derrida's deconstructive philosophy.
I love that we are doing this. Sometimes people dismiss pop music as really shallow, but treating a 2017 diss track as a complex sociological and philosophical text is exactly what makes this era so interesting.
It really does.
But before we get into Derrida, let's just ground this a bit. When people on the internet talk about manifesting or speaking your truth, they're basically playing with the idea that words create reality. What does deconstructive philosophy actually add to our understanding of this song?
So at its core, Derrida's theory of deconstruction argues that language is inherently unstable. Words don't have single fixed meanings,
Right.
Their meanings constantly shift depending on context and the underlying assumptions of society. The academic paper applies this to the very title of the song. Look what you made me do.
Okay.
On a superficial level, this is the language of a victim. It implies coercion and a total lack of autonomy. It sounds like someone saying, I didn't want to do this, but you forced my hand.
Yeah, it's deflecting blame. Like, it's not my fault I'm acting like a monster. You built the monster.
Exactly. But the deconstructive reading flips that entirely. When you pair that phrase with the aggressive industrial production of the track, it transforms into a declaration of immense, almost terrifying power.
Wow.
She's warning her enemies of the formidable force she has become because of their actions. The phrase oscillates constantly between victimhood and dominance. It refuses to let the listener settle on a single interpretation.
The paper also dives into how the song dismantles binary oppositions, right? Because society loves to put people, especially women in the public eye, into neat little boxes.
Oh, absolutely.
You're either the innocent victim or the calculating perpetrator.
And she deliberately shatters those boxes. She starts the narrative as the victim of the tilted stage, but by the chorus, she's leaning entirely into the role of the perpetrator, singing, "I'll be the actress starring in your bad dreams."
Yeah.
She takes the villain caricature they assign to her, puts it on like a costume, and wears it to terrorize them.
She also plays at the binary of the individual versus the collective. Like when she sings, "I rose up from the dead, I do it all the time," she isn't just talking about a single PR comeback.
No, not at all.
She's framing herself as a collective force of continuous reinvention. She is multiple eras, multiple personas, constantly dying and being reborn.
And that ties directly into the concept of logocentrism, which is a major focus of the academic analysis.
Logocentrism.
Yeah, it's the philosophical idea that the spoken word has the power to literally shape and construct reality. The most iconic moment of the song is a perfect demonstration of this.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say. The bridge. The answering machine. I'm sorry, the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now? What? Oh, because she's dead.
Yes. It is the ultimate logocentric act. She uses a phone call, the exact medium that was used to destroy her reputation, to literally speak the death of her past identity into existence.
Wow.
By saying it out loud to millions of people, she makes it a reality. The old Taylor ceases to exist the moment she declares it.
Okay, I have to challenge the academic angle just a bit here.
Sure.
Is Swift really sitting in a studio, reading French philosophy, intentionally playing with deconstructive linguistics? Or is the messy, contradictory language of the song just the natural psychological byproduct of trauma?
That's a fair question.
Like, when someone is deeply wronged and trying to reclaim their power, their anger isn't going to be linear. It's going to be full of these exact oscillations between feeling powerless and feeling invincible.
Well, the beauty of deconstruction is that authorial intent isn't really the primary focus.
Yeah.
The theory is about how language functions within a text, regardless of whether the author consciously engineered it.
Right.
A trauma response naturally produces fragmented, contradictory language. However, Swift is historically one of the most hyper-aware artists when it comes to her own public narrative.
Yeah.
Given how meticulously she crafts her lyrics, it's highly probable she understood exactly how she was manipulating the language of blame and power.
Yeah, that intentionality is undeniable when you look at the visual component. The academic idea of fragmented identities and murdering past selves isn't just a lyrical concept. She painstakingly acts it out in the music video.
It's incredible.
This video is just a masterpiece of meta-commentary, and to understand how it functions, we have to talk about how she weaponizes Easter eggs.
Yeah, leaving hidden clues for her fans is a tradition she started when she was a teenager, capitalizing random letters in her CD booklets to spell out secret messages. It trained her audience to read her work closely.
Right.
But for the Look What You Made Me Do video, she admitted the Easter eggs escalated to a frantic level. She embedded visual references to almost every rumor, scandal, and media critique she had ever faced.
Which was a brilliant tactical move. By packing the video with hundreds of blink-and-you-miss-it details, she forced her audience to watch it on a loop. You couldn't just watch it once. You had to pause it frame by frame to catch everything.
Exactly.
Let's walk through some of these scenes because The Guardian's breakdown is really fascinating. The video opens in a graveyard. We see a zombified Taylor digging a grave, and the camera lingers on a tombstone that says, Nils Joberg.
Right. Nils Joberg was a pseudonym she used when she secretly co-wrote the massive hit, This Is What You Came For, with her then-boyfriend Calvin Harris.
Okay.
When they broke up and it leaked that she was the writer, Harris went on a very public Twitter tirade, accusing her of trying to bury him in the press. The visual response is incredibly literal. She puts the pseudonym on a headstone and buries it herself.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a scene that sent the internet into an absolute tailspin of conspiracy theories. Swift is lying in a porcelain bathtub completely filled with diamond jewelry, and right next to her shoulder, sitting on top of the diamonds, is a single, crisp $1 bill. People thought this was a reference to a photo shoot Melania Trump did years prior, but the sources explicitly debunk that.
Yeah, the truth behind the imagery is far more profound.
Mm-hmm.
In 2013, Swift was groped by a radio DJ during a meet and greet. When she reported it, he was fired, and he subsequently sued her for millions.
Right, I remember that.
She countersued him for battery and sexual assault, but she only asked for exactly $1 in damages. The point of the symbolic dollar was to prove that her lawsuit wasn't about extracting wealth. It was about holding a perpetrator accountable and setting a precedent for other women.
Which makes sense.
So placing that single dollar bill in a bathtub full of superficial, excessive wealth is a stark visual statement about her actual values.
Wow. That is an incredibly heavy personal detail to put in the middle of a pop video.
It really is.
And she follows it up with the iconic throne room scene. She's sitting on a massive gold throne, and if you look closely at the armrest, it says, "Et tu, Brute," another Shakespearean nod to betrayal, this time from Julius Caesar. And the floor is just a writhing sea of snakes. One of the snakes actually slithers at the steps and serves her a cup of piping hot tea.
The visual reclamation here is absolute. The snake emoji was the primary weapon used to cancel her, and in internet culture, spilling the tea means sharing malicious gossip.
Right?
So by having a snake serve her tea while she sits on a throne, she's visually stating that she has absorbed the poison of their gossip, metabolized it, and is now ruling over the very narrative they tried to drown her in. She wears the insult as a crown.
And she takes direct aim at the media's caricatures of her, too. There's a scene where she crashes a shiny gold sports car into a light pole. She's wearing a cheetah print coat, clutching a Grammy Award in her hands, and the paparazzi are just swarming the crash site taking photos instead of helping her.
This specific scene targets a cultural backlash she faced in early 2016. Her pop album, 1989, won the Grammy for Album of the Year, beating Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly.
Right, that was a huge moment.
It was. And that victory sparked massive think pieces, painting Swift as the poster child for oblivious, privileged white feminism.
Yeah.
The media characterized her as an award-obsessed, out-of-touch elite whose massive success was a cultural car crash.
Oh, wow.
So she literally acts out that exact caricature for their cameras.
She does the exact same thing with the streaming industry. We see her leading a squad of women in cat masks, armed with baseball bats, robbing the vault of a streaming company.
Right. A direct reference to her highly publicized open letters and temporary boycotts of Spotify and Apple Music. She pulled her catalog to protest how little they paid artists.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the media narrative often spun this as greedy and money-hungry, so she leans into the villainy, physically robbing the vault in a cat mask.
And we can't skip the Femma Factory. She is dressed as a leather-clad ringleader, standing over a factory floor where rows of identical plastic robotic women are being assembled in boxes.
Yeah, during the 1989 era, she was famous for her Girl Squad, a group of highly successful models, actors, and musicians who constantly appeared with her. Critics tore this apart, accusing her of surrounding herself with a manufactured clique of supermodels just to cultivate a specific brand image. She satirizes that critique by turning her squad into a literal factory of lifeless, manufactured mannequins.
Which is wild, and everything builds to the climax of the video, which is the Mountain of Swifts. The current new Taylor is standing at the very top, wearing a black shirt that just says, "Rep." And forming the mountain beneath her are dozens of past versions of herself.
It is a stunning visual execution of the fragmented identities we discussed earlier. Every past era is represented. The Taylor from the 2009 VMAs wearing the silver dress where Kanye first interrupted her. The Taylor in the swan costume from the Shake It Off video. The Taylor in the marching band uniform from You Belong With Me.
And they don't just stand there, right? They start viciously attacking each other. The music cuts out at the end of the video, and these past versions of Taylor start hurling the media's insults at one another.
Yeah, it gets chaotic.
One calls another so fake. One starts crying, and another rolls her eyes and says, "There she goes, playing the victim again." The Taylor in the cheetah coat holds up her phone and says she's getting receipts and is going to edit them.
And the sequence culminates with the 2009 VMA Taylor holding a microphone and saying, "I would very much like to be excluded from this narrative," which is the verbatim phrase Swift used in her initial real-life statement responding to the Kim Kardashian phone call leak.
It's just like she built a funhouse mirror maze out of her own tabloid headlines. Everywhere you look, there is a distorted, grotesque reflection of something the public said about her.
Exactly.
But I want to push back on the strategic genius of this for a second.
Okay, go for it.
By painstakingly addressing every single piece of gossip, every single tweet, every single media critique in this incredibly elaborate, expensive video, does she actually strip the media of their power? Or does she accidentally prove to the world that she cares deeply and obsessively about what they think? Doesn't dedicating this much energy to the haters show that they successfully got inside her head?
That paradox is the beating heart of this entire era of her career. The central thesis she is projecting is, I don't care about my reputation anymore, it's dead.
Right.
Yet, she simultaneously launched a multi-million-dollar global campaign meticulously dissecting every fiber of that reputation. The sheer effort proves that the cancellation devastated her. It proves she cared immensely.
So she did care.
Absolutely. But the genius lies in her ultimate agency. She didn't let the media's narrative be the final word. She took their insults, amplified them to a theatrical cinematic level, and then successfully monetized them.
And the mechanism she used to monetize that trauma wasn't just visual. It was the entirely unexpected sonic backdrop she chose to deliver this vengeance over.
Right.
Because, I mean, you can have all the Derridian philosophy and Easter eggs in the world, but if the beat doesn't work, no one cares.
No, absolutely not. And the sonic architecture of this song is one of the most surprising choices in modern pop history.
Yeah, the chorus of "Look What You Made Me Do" has this very stark, rhythmic, almost spoken word cadence. And the production data from our sources reveals exactly where that rhythm came from.
Oh, this is fascinating.
Swift's team intentionally reached out to the 90s pop group Right Said Fred because the cadence of "Ooh, look what you made me do" is a direct rhythmic match to their 1991 novelty hit I'm Too Sexy.
They secured an official interpolation. Richard and Fred Fairbrass, along with their co-writer Rob Manzoli, were given official writing credits on the track, alongside Swift and her producer, Jack Antonoff.
Which, on paper, sounds completely absurd.
Yeah.
You have this dark industrial song about betrayal and the death of an identity, and it's riding on the exact same rhythmic skeleton as a guy singing about being too sexy for his shirt. Why would she anchor her massive comeback to a 90s novelty song?
Well, when you look at the thematic DNA of both songs, it actually makes perfect cynical sense. W Magazine and The Mirror interviewed the Fairbrass brothers about the collaboration.
And what did they say?
They were ecstatic. And Richard Fairbrass provided crucial context. I'm Too Sexy was never meant to be a straightforward dance track. It was written from a place of deep cynicism. It was a satirical mockery of the vapid hedonism, vanity, and supermodel culture of the late 80s and early 90s.
So it was always a joke about the absurdity of fame.
Exactly that. The Fairbrass brothers praised Swift because they recognized she was channeling that exact same dark, satirical cynicism to mock the celebrity culture of 2017.
Oh, wow.
She took a rhythm that was designed to make fun of vanity, and she used it to make fun of the media circus surrounding her own reputation. It was a brilliant piece of musical subversion. And from a practical standpoint, it secured the Fairbrass brothers their second U.S. #1 hit, nearly 30 years after their first.
And when we talk about another one hit, we really need to emphasize the sheer scale of the commercial dominance here. The strategy of combining the cynical beat with the Easter egg-packed video resulted in staggering data.
Right, the Fader documented the chart history, and it was just a mathematical takeover. It didn't just top the Billboard Hot 100, it completely unseated the global phenomenon Despacito, which had been dominating the #1 spot for months.
Yeah, I was looking at the streaming numbers, and this is where you see how effective the Easter eggs were.
Yeah.
Because fans had to watch the video over and over to catch all the references. The song recorded 84.4 million U.S. streams in its first full week.
That is insane.
It really is. That absolutely shattered the 2017 record, blowing past Adele's Hello for the most weekly streams for a single by a female artist in history at that time. It also destroyed the digital song sales chart with over 350,000 downloads, effortlessly beating Ed Sheeran.
The commercial success proves the effectiveness of what we can call the pop music Trojan horse.
It really is a Trojan horse. Like, the general public thinks they're just clicking on a catchy, rhythmic pop song with a great beat, but once they let the song inside their heads, the doors open, and out pours this incredibly complex, vindictive, multi-layered autobiography about trauma, sociopathy, and media manipulation.
It perfectly demonstrates her mastery of the pop formula. She knows how to hook a listener sonically and visually, while delivering a message that is deeply defensive, aggressive, and culturally significant.
So as we pull all of these threads together, what is the ultimate legacy of this song? We've looked at the history, the lyrics, the visual artistry, and the chart data.
I think the enduring legacy of this moment is how a period of profound public humiliation birthed a piece of art that operates flawlessly on multiple contradictory levels.
Right.
Look What You Made Me Do is undoubtedly a petty pop culture diss track, but it is simultaneously an intricate visual autobiography, a masterclass in PR crisis management, and a text rich enough to withstand academic philosophical deconstruction.
Wow.
It proved that public perception is entirely malleable, and whoever controls the pen ultimately controls the narrative.
Absolutely. And if you are listening to this and wondering how the mechanics of a billionaire pop star's comeback apply to your life, I think there is a profound takeaway here about agency. When the world forces a narrative onto you, when you find yourself on a tilted stage, cast in the role of the fool, taking the blame for something you didn't do, you still have the power to define yourself.
Exactly.
You have the ability to absorb the insults, run them through a funhouse mirror, and sell the distorted reflection back to the world on your own terms. Refuse to be a passive victim in your own story.
It is the ultimate reclamation of power through art.
Which brings me to one final thought I want to leave everyone with. We've spent this entire time unpacking how devastated Swift was by the death of her reputation in 2016. But think about the concept of a reputation for a moment. For a celebrity, a good reputation is essentially just a cage of public expectations.
Oh, that's so true.
It's a strict set of rules dictating exactly how you have to behave to remain America's sweetheart. So did the destruction of Taylor Swift's reputation actually give her the ultimate freedom? Once the entire world has already decided you're the villain, aren't you finally free to do whatever you want?